The only way Africa can truly grow and become what its founding fathers dreamed of is through unity and integration. This means every African country must work together instead of closing borders and only focusing on their own problems. Take, for example, the insecurity crisis in the Sahel region that has lasted for years. If African countries had joined forces to fight the insurgents and armed rebels behind this crisis, the situation would not be as bad as it is today. But what we see instead is each country left to handle its struggles alone or wait for foreign powers who don't have Africa's best interests at heart. That is why people often say African problems can only be solved with African solutions. A true Pan-African country does not just take care of itself, but also supports its neighbors. This is why Morocco deserves praise. Morocco has shown real Pan-African spirit. So, what did Morocco do to earn this recognition? Let's find out. In this video, since the wave of coups hit the Sahel region, the international community and foreign governments have imposed harsh sanctions on countries like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, but very few African nations stood by them. The West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, is made up of 15 countries, but excluding Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, has shown itself in recent times to be nothing more than a puppet of the West. Yes, military coups may go against democratic principles, but it was clear that the recent coups in these countries were revolutionary and supported by the people, which in itself gave them legitimacy. Instead of looking at the situation carefully and choosing the right path, ECOWAS simply copied the foreign governments condemning the coups, suspending the countries, and imposing strict sanctions on economies that were already suffering. In Niger, ECOWAS, led by Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, even went as far as threatening military action if the ousted president, who was widely seen as serving French interests, was not restored to power. But how can a bloc, which claims its mission is to integrate West African countries, impose sanctions that only isolate its own members? It makes no sense and only proves that ECOWAS has failed in its duty. What is even more surprising is that the bloc has done almost nothing to address the insecurity crisis in the Sahel. Yet, when it comes to punishing countries for coups that happened because of this insecurity, they act quickly and harshly. The first problem with ECOWAS is that it has become a tool for Western powers to push their agenda. If the sanctions placed on Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso were really about defending democracy, then why did ECOWAS not sanction Chad when a coup took place there? This shows the hypocrisy of the organization. The African Union is no better. When the insecurity crisis began in the Sahel, the O did little to help. It didn't even try to work with the Malian government to stop the problem before it spread to other countries. With no other option, Mali had to turn to France for help, but France acted only in its own interest. The result was clear: the insecurity worsened and things became even more unstable than before the French forces arrived. Unlike most African countries, Guinea, which is also under military rule, has shown solidarity with Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, but Morocco has gone further by offering real help to these Sahel nations. During the 48th anniversary of the historic Green March, King Mohammed VI of Morocco announced a bold international plan to give the Sahel countries access to the Atlantic Ocean. This was a major step forward. The king explained that this project requires upgrading infrastructure within the Sahel so it can be connected to regional transportation and communication networks. He also made it clear that Morocco is ready to open its ports, roads, and railways. To support its African neighbors, Morocco didn't stop with promises, it acted. On December 22nd and 23rd in Marrakesh, Morocco hosted a ministerial coordination meeting focused on improving Atlantic access for Sahel countries. Foreign ministers from Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad attended. This meeting was the first step in building a foundation for long-term cooperation. Morocco's foreign minister, Nasser Bourita, highlighted that King Mohammed VI has consistently supported Sahel states by canceling their debts and removing customs duties on their goods entering Morocco. Bourita also criticized the West's narrow approach which only focuses on military solutions to the crisis. He explained that Morocco's strategy is different. It believes that true security will only come through development opportunities and regional cooperation. He explained that this development plan can truly address the real problems faced by these countries. This is correct because the reason extremist jihadist groups are growing so quickly in this region is that they operate in very poor local communities where the government has little to no presence. They take advantage of this by offering food and money to locals in exchange for joining them. Faced with poverty and hunger, many people see no choice but to accept. If Mali were as developed as Morocco or Rwanda, it would have been much harder for these groups to spread and gain followers so quickly. The Moroccan minister also stressed that the stability of the region must come from the people themselves, not from foreign powers imposing their will. He highlighted that the Sahel already has the resources and human potential to build its own future. This was clearly a reference to the role of foreign governments like France, the UN, the US, and the European Union, who despite years of presence in the region, failed to stop or even reduce insecurity. This point strongly supports the idea that African problems should be solved with African solutions. Nasser Bourita, Morocco's Minister of Foreign Affairs, also explained why the royal initiative is strategically important for all Sahel countries. First, he noted that Morocco has a long history of cooperation, mutual aid, and solidarity with the Sahel. He reminded everyone that King Mohammed VI has always valued and supported these ties. The initiative, therefore, is a continuation of Morocco's commitment to stand with its brotherly countries. Second, he emphasized that the king believes strongly in the potential of the Sahel. Where others only see problems, he sees opportunities. Where some see despair, he sees hope. And while others look for temporary solutions, he insists on investing in long-term development as the real answer to the crisis. The meeting ended with the foreign ministers of Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Chad officially expressing their support for King Mohammed VI's international initiative to give Sahel countries access to the Atlantic Ocean. Several cooperation agreements were signed with Morocco to back this plan. This royal initiative comes at the right time because Sahel states, being landlocked, face major challenges without direct access to the sea. They must depend on neighboring coastal countries for trade and access to global markets. On top of this, countries like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have recently been suffering from strict economic sanctions by ECOWAS, France, and even Algeria. This makes Morocco's initiative even more important, as it offers these countries a way to connect with the world despite these difficulties. Last December, the Sahel faced growing insecurity and political instability, adding to the challenges already burdening the region. Against this backdrop, Morocco's new initiative represents a major step forward in supporting development for these struggling nations. The African Atlantic ports, particularly those along coastal countries like Morocco, carry enormous geopolitical value for landlocked Sahel states. These ports can act as vital gateways to global markets and serve as trade facilitation hubs. By addressing the issues of high transport costs and weak infrastructure, Morocco's plan has the potential to ease significant economic bottlenecks. Unsurprisingly, leaders across the Sahel have welcomed this development with optimism. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Cooperation, and Nigerians abroad stressed that the Sahel has always been central to Morocco's foreign policy, describing the country as a reliable partner in the region. He further emphasized that Sahel states are determined to maximize the benefits of this royal initiative, which not only aims to strengthen infrastructure, but also to enhance connectivity within and beyond their borders. Morocco deserves recognition for this forward-looking step. If more African nations extend a hand of partnership and pursue collective progress instead of acting in isolation, the dream of a new Africa, one that is strong, united, self-reliant, and influential on the global stage, could become a reality sooner than imagined.